Hello, hello. This is DNN Dave, and I'm here with Daniel Valadas. How's it going, Daniel?
Hello, hello. I'm doing good.
I think we can say that Addison Oliveira's legacy is living on, right? I,
Totally.
uh, I just can't not do it. I mean, anytime a video starts, I think of Addison, so we have to say hello, hello. Just have to not say I'm Addison Oliveira.
Or
Oh goodness.
Anderson Oliveira, which would be
Yes.
first.
Oh yes, yes. You know, he actually made a website. I am not Anderson, I believe is what it is. My name is not Anderson or something like that.com.
Is this still?
Oh man, that would be really funny. So today I wanted to come to you guys live and show a simple pull request for DNN Platform this time. So we're going to make contributing to DNN Platform easy. And we're going to do a simple pull request. And I want to kind of show you exactly how easy it is to do this, and maybe it would encourage you to contribute to DNN Platform. And Daniel was so kind to join me on this live broadcast, and correct me if I do anything wrong or add additional insight. So thanks for doing that, Daniel.
You are welcome.
Great. Well, let me switch over to the screen here, and I have already got a pull request an issue that has been on my to-do list for so long. And I discovered it tonight, and I was like, you know what? This would make a good live stream to encourage people to contribute. And this particular issue is to remove an old image that was it's been in DNN Platform for ages, and it's the old .NET Nuke logo. And in particular, John Royle has been complaining about this for quite some time. So he finally, back in June, made this issue. This was June of 2019, so this tells you a little bit how long it's been there. But he made this issue and documented it, and well, yeah, I keep forgetting to do it. So here we are. I'm going to do this and try to remove this image. So before I remove this image, this is the location within the website that the root of the website. It's in images folder, branding, logo.gif. And I want to, and is it GIF or is it GIF? I think I read recently that it's GIF actually, right? From the creator said it was GIF, but I cannot stop saying GIF. What do you call it, Daniel?
I call it GIF, but I know it's wrong.
It just feels right-er to be.
Yes, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
graphic interchange format, so I say
It's,
it's GIF.
I think so too, because graphic. Graph. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
say
makes
the
sense.
creator is wrong here.
I think so too. We're gonna start a coup here and make sure that it's spelled or pronounced wrong there. So one of the things I want to do before I just go and remove this image from there, I kind of want to see where all it is used within DNN. So I think I'm going to open up a new tab here, and I'm going to do a search on the repository. So I don't know if you know this, but you can go up in the top left here and you can actually type a phrase, and if you put them in quotes, like in this case, I want to look for branding slash logo. GIF, I believe. If you put them in quotes, then it'll actually match it exactly. If you don't put the quotes, it'll kind of match on key pieces of that. So it can be a little bit confusing. And then you'll want to check the one for in this repository.
Yeah,
So
since you asked me to interject, I'm gonna interject on
yeah,
two things.
absolutely.
So, one, it doesn't always work nice to search in GitHub. There's many instances I was looking for stuff, and even with the double quotes, it didn't find everything. I don't know why. And two, it might live somewhere without the full folder path, just
Hmm.
logo.gif. I
Absolutely. And I just remembered that if I put the dot in there, it does throw the search off quite a bit. And
Mhm.
I just looked on my other screen here in my notes. I really should have been looking at them. If I leave the dot out, then we see more instances of where this path is used. And
Yeah.
it is legitimately used for this image, DNN underscore logo. And we'll go and look at that folder in just a minute here. But that looks like those two are for the legitimate ones. This is for legitimate. Now this is an old ribbon bar control panel that is in the deprecated website. So that is probably legit. It's actually used in that. So I would think that's fine. And then
But it's the icon bar logo.
that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. The icon bar logo, but it is the old branded .NET Nuke icon. I just happened to look at that file already, and that is one of the older files, but it is legitimately used because this still is valid code within there.
The one we're looking for is the one that's used as the fav icon, right?
No, this is the one that's actually a GIF that used to be used as the logo for one of the site templates that was in there. So what I'm really looking for is to make sure that it is not used, that logo.gif is not used anywhere. And I did a few searches before. I did one just with logo.gif and looked at all the places just to make sure that it was not there. But this is just kind of a swag, but we will see that it is indeed part of the .NET Nuke.website CS project file. So it is actually an asset in that project. So what that tells me is I can't just go and remove that image. Then I would be leaving a rogue file reference in the project. So I can't just do this in the browser. I can't just clone it and delete that image and be done with it. I really need to make sure that the project file is updated as well. And let me just double check my notes over here. I had another search over here where I did a logo.gif is what I searched for. We'll do that real quick. Logo.gif. And I found there that it's used a lot actually. And it's used in the old documentation area for this, and I think that this is kind of slated to be removed. All that old documentation stuff is going to be gone. But I just went through these to make sure that it wasn't that logo.gif. It's actually a different logo.gif that is in that directory under the starter kit in there. So that's not the same file. And if we keep scrolling down through here, that's what we're seeing. Now this is a little different here. This is for the very first version of DNN. It references that file, and that's really what that is there. But we can't go back and change that code there.
I'm wondering if we need to remove it though.
But this is in the old SQL provider file, so that is legit there for that. So don't think we need to remove it there. So then now we're just seeing it again on the website project under the website folder. So I think that's really, this is really just a quick sanity check on this. And I actually went through and just saw, a few more searches and stuff, and felt pretty comfortable that removing the image itself and the reference to it in the project file would be sufficient enough. So really, if we just get the project and open the solution and look in that project and delete the file within Visual Studio, that should be sufficient for that. So I'm actually on my Mac here in the browser, so I'm just going to switch screens here and go over to a virtual machine here that I've got with Windows running on it. And I already have a folder set up here for the platform, so that is actually a copy of or a clone of the DNN Platform repo here. And I just want to kind of follow my process here of, I want to make sure that I don't have any active, like I'm not on a different branch or I'm actively working on another issue or something. So I want to do a Git Status, and I see that I am on develop, and it is up to date with the upstream develop. If it were not, then I would go ahead and run git pull upstream develop, and that would pull the latest code from up there. Now, I will also mention that I usually just, if I'm not 100% sure about my environment or if I'm just setting it up, I want to make sure that I do have the proper remotes configured so I can run git remote with a -v for verbose at the end of it to show me what remotes I have configured. So you'll see that I have the origin set up to go to my fork of DNN Platform, and then I have an upstream that it goes to the main repo there. So now my local copy is, my local Git repository is up to date with the upstreams, so we're pretty good there. And I just kind of want to, I always keep my branches clean here, but I just always double check and make sure I didn't forget to remove one at the end. So I run a git branch, and that lists all the branches that I have here locally. So now if we look back over at the actual issue, I want to grab the number of the issue. So that's 2837. Help me remember that, Daniel. So I want to create a new branch to start working here, and I want to do git checkout. So I'm going to make a copy of the develop branch that I'm currently on, and I want to create a new branch from that and call that issue-28, what was it, 37?
Yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah, we'll look back at it and just make sure. Okay.
That being said, it's just a convention. It's not.
It is
critical.
not a requirement.
Yeah.
I like to follow that convention just simply because it
Yeah.
keeps me sane, and I always know my branches and what they're tied to, issues. So I think you do something similar to that, don't you?
Yeah, when there's an issue, yes. Sometimes I just start thinking about something before I create the issue, so I name it fix, bug, this and that, As long as you have no spaces, it's a valid branch name.
That's true. Good points. Yeah, and also, DNN Platform repo is we're a little bit more strict on having an issue that's associated with a PR or a pull request. It's not always required, but it sure does help, especially for the ones that are reviewing those pull requests. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that actually automatically switches me to the issue-2837 branch. And if I were to run a Git status, it should confirm that again. Yep, I am on that branch. So we're good to go. Now we have a clean copy that's up to date with the latest and greatest from the repo. And that's what you really want to make sure that you have the latest and greatest by running the pull from the upstream on the develop. Because if you don't start with what is current there, you could run into conflicts when you submit your pull request from there. So now I should be able to just open up my Visual Studio, and I did not mean to click that. Let me open up my Visual Studio. I'm going to run in Visual Studio 2019. And I have it set up to where it automatically runs as an administrator. You can do that as well by just right-clicking on your pinned icon down here, or when you open it up and go to properties and set that to run as administrator. That'll save you a lot of heartache sometimes, won't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing, because if you forget, then you run into troubles and you wonder why. And so it's a good thing to run it as a...
Absolutely. So now I have opened up this project before, obviously, so I've got a quick recent link that I can do here, but I could also just open up a project or solution and navigate to where this is set up, wherever your Git repo is set up on your local machine. But I'll go ahead and click this, and that'll open up the project. And I just realized our videos are probably going to, our video is going to be over what I want to show here. So I'll try my best to make it bigger so everybody can see where we're moving this. And that is opening up fairly slow. And we'll be patient here and let it open. It's got a lot of stuff to do. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So you may be able to see in the window that there, Daniel, you might be able to explain this at a real high level here, that the solution is organized not one-to-one with the actual folder and file structure on disk here. So I don't know if we want to touch on that just a bit, but the
Correct.
bottom line is it makes it very easy to actually find in context what you're looking for, because the file and folder structure doesn't necessarily map to the usage so much.
Yeah.
Anything that you'd like to add to
So
that?
yeah, basically the solution file and the project file is what defines what we see here. Let's say you would be in Visual Studio Code and you open a folder, it's totally different. It shows you the folder structure. But in Visual Studio, it's different. It's really defined by those project and solution files. And if you were to simply, in the case of this GIF, if you just manually delete it from the folder, it will show up still here with an exclamation mark that I cannot find the file.
Exactly. So I could, you may be tempted in this situation, to just go into the Windows Explorer and find the file. I happen to know that it lives in this website folder here. But we're going to do that from the project because the project actually references it. So the actual project file, the CS or .cs proj file for .NET-Nuke.website actually references that file. So it's just safer in this case for us to do that within Visual Studio.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and open up this particular project. And I know it lives in the images folder here and in the branding folder. That one, if I double click logo.gif, it should open up here very slowly on my computer. And you can see a bit of nostalgia here. Yeah.
That logo was nice though.
Yeah, it is. It is nice. A bit pixelated in this view because we're opening up very big, but this is a smaller version of it. I think this used to be used in the top left corner of the old skin that was used back in, I don't know, this is probably what, version, I don't know.
5 and 6,
yeah,
probably.
somewhere along that. Yeah, I don't know if it was
Someone
6
had
because this was
a
community.
physical version of that comp on the left there.
Yeah.
I've seen that on a blog post or something, like a kind of trophy with that shape.
It's interesting. So this is the one that we want to delete. So if I just I'm going to close this out just so that is closed. If I right click here and delete, and it will ask me if I want to delete it permanently, and I do want to delete that permanently in this case. That should automatically, once it goes away, it should go away. But also if you scroll back up, and I'm trying to leave this within view of everyone, you'll notice that there is now a red check mark beside the actual project file. So that tells us that the project file itself was modified in that process. So I should be able to now just save all in here. And I'm not really going to run this. This is a simple change. We know exactly what it is that we want to change. So you really don't even have to worry about getting your local instance up and running and the build process and all that in this particular case. And there are many issues out there that are like this that you could help greatly by taking a few minutes to contribute in this way. So now we've got the change made on our branch. And I should point out too that in Visual Studio you will be able to see down in the bottom right which branch of Git you're actually on here. So that's always a nice visual cue to confirm and keep you sane. But now if I run a Git Status, and I'll do this all in the command line, you could just as well do this through your Visual Studio as well. But here you'll see that we've got two files that have changed. One that's been modified, and that's the CS proj file, which we expected, and one that's been deleted, and that is the logo.gif. So I think we're good. If you see a bunch of other things here, then chances are you did not do something right or got out of order here. So this is always a sanity check. Now, you can, at this point, since there's only two files done, I could do git add dot.
Before you do that,
sure.
If you're less of a command line guy, in Visual Studio, in the blue bar where you showed the branch, There's a pencil with the number 2. That's another way to view this, which is cool because you can even see the difference. It's going to show you what got modified, and if, let's say, you double-click on the CSproj file there, you're going to see the difference between...
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and do that real quick. They can only see parts of this because of our videos on top of it, but yeah, that's what you're talking about. So you can now see the comparison. Yeah. This is, on the left is what the file used to be, and notice it has head up there. So that is actually what the state of the branch was prior to any changes being made. And then on the right is the change that we have made. So this is the diff of it. So we see where that automatically removed line 2147 on there and shifted things up. Yeah, it's a great point. So you can actually stage your changes here as well and do commit. I'm going to do this from the command line just to try to help familiarize people with some of this. If there were more than, more files listed here, you would not want to use git add dot, because that's going to actually add every file that you have changed to stage it to be ready to be committed. So if you were just, you had 10 of them listed there, but you only wanted to handle the 2 and deal with, any issues that you had accidentally made changes to other things before, you could actually just do git add and then specifically put the path and name of the file there and add those manually. Of course, if you have to go down that route, I would say the UI is much better because you can really quickly do that by selecting those 2 files and adding them. So I'm going to do this, and that will stage. Oops, sorry. Okay, hitting enter. All right, so now if I do git status, you'll see that those are green. So they are staged and ready to be committed. So what we need to do now is to commit that locally in our Git repo locally. So we'll do git commit -m for message. Every commit needs to have a message. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go back over to the issue, and I'm going to take the title of the issue here because it seems to be a pretty good title. I'm going to copy that into my clipboard. And I'll go back over here and I'll use that as my message. All right, looking pretty good. So now that has been committed locally. So I now need to push this branch to my origin repo, which is my forked version of DNN Platform on GitHub. So we're really dealing with 3 repos here. You've got the upstream, which is the actual DNN software or DNN software/DNN.platform repo on GitHub. We've got the origin, which is our forked repo, and this would be your particular username on GitHub/DNN.platform. And then we've got our local repo. So we really have 3 Git repos involved, 2 of which are on GitHub and 1 of which is locally. So we've made all these changes locally. We've staged our files. We've committed them. Now we're going to push this branch, and we're still on this issue-2837 branch. We're going to push that to origin. So git push origin and then the name of the branch. And what this will do is it'll actually create that branch out on our forked repo. And we'll go look at that and see that. So 2837. And if all is well, this should work. And it looks like that went really well. Now you'll notice here in the command line, it actually gives you a URL that you could go to and directly create a pull request right from that URL. Some people like to do that. I find it harder to copy and paste something in the command line than it is to just switch back over to the browser. And let's go to right here on the forked thing. Yeah, there's 577 forks. This may not be the quickest way to do it, but I could search for my particular fork here, or if I wanted to be quicker, I could just change it in the URL up here.
I do it different. I go to my fork. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So if we go to my fork, you'll see that I have this here. Now this will also show up, and I'll just do this in the other window here so everybody can see it. If we go back to the root, the main code tab of the platform up here, we'll also see that here. It'll just look slightly different. So if we're on our own repo, it'll just show us the branch because we're on the repo at which holds the branch, right? And that branch does show in here. Now I've got a bunch of old ones out here, but if I scroll down, there is the branch. If I were to switch over that, you would see that the logo.gif would be gone and the CS project file would be updated on that. This one, it just references the branch directly. If we're on the upstream repo, it'll have my username and the branch here. So you could actually create the pull request from either place and it'll result in exactly the same end result there. So I'm ready to create the pull request at this point. So I'll compare and pull request here. And what you want to make sure is that now, you know, this will happen by default if you follow these steps just right. It'll be good. But by default, it's going to make the base repository, the upstream, and the branch develop. That is the main branch that we use for working pull requests on this. There are some scenarios where you'll need to target a different branch, but by default, this would be what you would want to do. And then the head represents the origin, which is my forked repo of DNN Platform, and issue that. So it's comparing these two right here. And what I like to do is just scroll down to the bottom and make sure that what I see here is only what I intended to be in this pull request. And in this case, this is the .NET.website.cs proj file. We can see on the left. Now I'm using here, I'll scroll this so everybody can see it right below the videos here. The default here is unified view, but as you may have learned from my other videos, that I like to switch over to split because it shows the old file on the left and the new file on the right, similar to what we were seeing when Daniel had us to open up the project file in Visual Studio Code. We can actually see a comparison between the two files side by side. So that is exactly what we would expect, and since we deleted a file, it'll actually show in red here, and that is indeed the file that we deleted. So I think everything looks good. If you ended up with a bunch of other changes to this, something went wrong along the way, and it's easy to just start over, deleting your branch and so forth on that. Okay, so now we get to the actual description of this, and a lot of these things in the HTML comments here are really just comments for you to know that you need to have a contributing or what the contributing guidelines are there. And then this gives you a bit of instructions on how to use some special syntax to make sure that the issue is closed automatically whenever this pull request is merged. So we will actually use that syntax here in a minute. And in this case, I'm going to get rid of the comments here because we don't really need unit tests or anything like that for this particular kind of change. So I'm just going to use the special syntax to do resolves. You could use fixes, closes. I think the singular version of those works as well. But then I'm going to
resolves. Yeah, you put resolves. Sorry.
Yeah, resolves is one I like. I just think it sounds nicer instead of closes. Okay, and then this is issue 2837. So you can use a special syntax for pound and then 2837. That'll actually reference that issue right away. Another way to do, if you can't remember the issue number, but I mean, you should have, this is where the naming convention of this comes into play a little bit, and that's why I like it. But if you couldn't remember that, then I know that logo was in there, so I can actually do a bit of a text search through that and find it that way as well. And that's really all that we need, right, Daniel, on this. for this kind of thing. We're referencing the issue at which it was related to, and we do have the right syntax in there. And if there was some explanation that you needed to add because this was a complex pull request, then obviously you'd want to write a little bit more descriptive summary here. But in this case, this is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So I'm ready to actually create the pull request at this point. So I'm going to create the pull request. And now I am a maintainer on this repo, so I'm going to see some things here that you won't necessarily see. But I will explain a couple of things. Don't worry too much about the mergeable information here. That is something that the maintainers will take care of when it's time to actually merge the pull request. But you'll notice that one thing happens here, the CI, which is continuous integration, will actually start building in here, and you can actually go and see the build of the platform here. But that is going to show yellow until that process is finished, and that takes, I don't know, what have we got that down to at this point, time frame wise there, Daniel?
I believe it's 6 minutes.
That's pretty fast. It used to be like click and wait about 45 minutes, and it would eventually come back, but that has really gotten a lot faster, so it's really great to see that. And you'll see some other checks of things that are happening, like this one just finished. Since this was related to image, there's some automation that happens on GitHub using GitHub Actions for image manipulation there and optimization. So that's good. So once all of this gets green, except for this one is going to be X until a GitHub maintainer comes out here and reviews the pull request. And you will be able to see that, and you should get notified as well when it's merged or if there are any requests for changes. So at this point, I don't really want, oh, looky there. Somebody has actually already reviewed this. It was Daniel Valadas. Look at you, man. You're just on top of it. Now, one thing to mention is, and you may not realize this if you haven't done a whole lot of contributions with the DNN platform, there has to be 2 actual reviewers and approvals in order to merge a pull request. So Daniel has already submitted a review here for this, and so I would not be able to do this because even though I'm a maintainer and I could review this, I'm the one that submitted the pull request, so I can't review my own pull requests. So these are some rules that we have in place to help ensure code quality and so forth. So as soon as somebody else is able to review this, then it could be ready to be merged. And usually the second approver, if there are no issues, they will go ahead and merge the pull request, and then you should get notified. At that point, down here at the bottom, you're actually going to see that yep, all is good. You can actually go ahead and delete your branch. And what it's telling you is that it'll give you a button there where you could actually delete your branch on your forked repo automatically right from here. So that's always a good thing to do to keep things clean. And you may have seen some of my DNN docs live streams there where we did it really quickly and was able to merge those in, and you were able to delete those right away. We're going to actually leave that branch intact just in case one of the reviewers come back and says, oh, whoa, no, we can't do this, you need to change this, or no, it's used in 5 other places and you need to make some modifications. So we want to keep that around both on our fork as well as our local repo here. I don't want to go and delete this until that pull request is merged. Daniel, did I miss anything on here?
No, I think we're good. If you want to expand a bit more, we can go with the mergeable.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about that a bit. So we have some automation here that actually checks for a few things, and you'll notice that something just flickered there, and Daniel actually took. Nope, that was Mitchell Sellers. Look at there. Oh, man, this is actually great timing because now we can actually see what I was talking about. Wow, thank you, Mitch Sellers. I don't know if you're watching the live stream or not, but hey, thanks for doing that. So Mitch actually came out here as a second reviewer, and he did 2 things. And we'll see now that our mergeable piece here is checked green. What happened there are 2 things that need to happen there. One, an actual label needs to be assigned to the pull request. And this helps. Daniel's on the build and release team, so he likes to come in. I don't know if you want to explain this or not, but go ahead and actually walk us through how that helps you.
Totally. So in order to write the release notes, we used to have some automation which was okay, but I like to have human written release notes so we can reword some stuff that we know what it means, but it's not very clear for a user. So I like to rewrite some stuff, but I need a list of everything that was submitted for that version. So that's why mergeable came into play. That enforces that we have a milestone, so I know it was part of this release, and that it has at least a label for the type of what we're doing. Is it maintenance? Is it a bug fix? Is it an enhancement? Is it a new feature? So that way I can filter stuff and manually go and write the release notes with a usable list. And that was getting forgotten a lot of times. And mergeable helps us here to make sure that we cannot merge it until we have those two items, a label and a milestone.
Yeah, and I think you actually, on the release notes, you actually kind of categorize that a bit, or you somehow indicate that this was a bug fix, or it was an enhancement, or this was a maintenance item or something. So, yeah, it's really good that we've put these in place. Not only does it help keep us all consistent in what we're doing as maintainers, but it also helps greatly with the release notes and making those really nice. So one thing I noticed is that Mitch has not yet merged this this pull request. So Daniel, I think you could actually come back out here and well, no, we can't merge it until the build has completed. And sometimes you have to refresh the page in order to see if the build is finished. So Mitch will probably go ahead and merge this by the time this gets finished. Now, if you so care to see how the build actually goes, we'll do this because I'm hoping that it'll finish here fairly quickly and we can actually see. I can click the details and then click on the actual job that is running, and I will be able to see it in status here, what part of the build it's running. It's got all these different stages, and we won't go into any details here, but essentially you can watch the progress of it there and wait till it finishes. But as soon as that build finishes and it actually is successful, then that pull request can be merged.
Yep.
So it looks like we have a little bit more time here. It's getting pretty close to the end of it.
Yeah, it's gonna run tests after though.
Oh yeah, it will take just
We'll
a
have
little bit of
a
time.
couple minutes more.
Yep. So I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and end this live stream at this point, and unless you could think of anything else that might be helpful to point out.
One little thing.
Yeah.
If you go back to the pull request, we talked about 3 of the checks. The last check there, license CLA, if you are a first-time contributor, you're going to be asked to sign a contributor license agreement.
That's true, and that's actually through the .NET Foundation. We've got some integration with them that presents that contributor license agreement to you so that you can sign and make sure that everything is all good to come into the open source project there. So yeah, if you happen to see that this is not a green check, you should be presented with an option to sign that contributor license agreement or CLA here. And yeah, so once all those are complete, then we'll be able to merge this pull request. And if there are no conflicts, it should just be ready to go into the 9.6.2 release. And that's where the milestone got assigned to it. So whenever the build happens, you can come back and see if your PR is going to be included in that milestone or if it's somewhere else. Well, thanks for joining us. And Daniel, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. This made it a whole lot better than what it would have been if I ever done it by myself. So I really appreciate it. You're welcome to join anytime.
Awesome. Pick me up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, take care, everybody. This is DNN Dave. And if you like this content or you are thinking of other content that you'd like to see in live streams, please comment below and let me know. And if you would be so kind, please hit the subscribe button. Let's get those up. Take care.